comments from the board. Councilman Gelfarb?
One question. With our budget, what exactly is the process from here on in? I might have a question depending on the answer to that question.
We're going to approve the budget at the next meeting, is my understanding.
And you can make changes if you want.
We can make changes. Oh, sorry.
What you have in front of you today is the preliminary budget from the work session from last week. And we're just going to give you a handout of the line item changes, and there's a correction to one of the line items when we were making changes. This is the preliminary budget. The proposal is that the December 15th meeting, that we can still make changes from now until then, and then that we would submit the adopted budget at that meeting, along with the 2009 any budget modifications at that meeting.
All right. All right. Then I do have a question about two of the line items. Are they better left for the next meeting?
Well, I'd rather have you just call Dr. David Burns, because there's going to be a lot of, unless you really, can't you,
what schedule?
However you want to do it's easy.
What schedule I just gave you in addition to was from the tentative budget to the preliminary budget. These are the line item changes that were made to this preliminary budget as it stands right now, which is a total appropriations of $3,909,336 and a balance we raised by taxes of $542,836, which is a 15.2% reduction. So there's line item changes that were from tentative to preliminary. And the one correction is under the when we were breaking out secretary, clerical assistant, and executive, we were breaking out two lines, so that needs to be corrected, and we are going to increase the contingency by $10,000.
Well, my question then is really, with field repair and sprinkler systems, going back towards what friends were discussing, those seem to have taken a very big hit. And I was looking at the current actual figures for 2009 through the end of October, and it appeared that there was nothing spent on either of those two. Is that correct?
There was very little spent in field repair. There's probably going to be some reclassifications in the next month and overall in Crawford Park, but there's very little in field repair for 2009, and sprinkler there was next to nothing.
So even though they were appropriated for 2009, nothing was ever spent.
Correct.
Which is, obviously they do have a bearing on the quality of Crawford Park, to say the least.
Those will be budget adjustments that need to be made. They were expenses that were misclassified. I can tell you that we probably spent $3,500 approximately on sprinkler maintenance, and somewhere in a similar range for field repair. Between the topsoil, between the seed, and the equipment, we were looking at somewhere around $3,000 was spent.
Because that's certainly something that, we hear about from the public. So to see that, there was something like $10,000 was never spent is somewhat of an eye-opener. And to see that it's being cut so much is equally so.
Sorry, what are we hearing?
It's like...
Sorry, David.
The quality of the fields at Crawford Park is something that we hear about from the community. So
in terms of what?
They'd like the fields to be as, up to snuff. Obviously people notice that little kids constantly run around on them, adults. It's obviously something people notice. So to see that we appropriated $15,000 for the 2009 year and have spent, much, much, much less is to me a little surprising. And to see that we're only budgeting on a preliminary budget $4,000 for next year, I'm curious as to why there was a decision made that the amount to be spent on the fields was cut by 75% almost.
There's going to be some reclassification. What happens is the vendors that we use, they're defaulted in the computer to go to repairs and maintenance in Crawford, okay? Bishop has identified a couple of reclassifications that will be made within the next week or so. So when I can either reissue the October numbers, or before you finalize the budget, we'll revamp the Crawford to get more detail, which will identify the fact that we did spend $67,000 on that line item this year. We're going to reduce another line item.
But your point is there is a reduction in that line item compared to last year's budget. So
yeah, substantial.
Right.
Well, actually, I'd like to ask my park liaisons. Councilwoman Mendocino and Deputy Supervisor Villanova. I mean, because I'm a little reluctant to leave the suggestion that the parks, Crawford Park, isn't as good as it's been. I mean, I don't know what our park liaisons think.
Well, I don't know, like, what you're going to put under the capital budget plan, but I think that we really need to do some improvements on the inside.
No, but I'm talking about what is the current condition. You think the current condition is deteriorated?
I think we're at status quo. Like, I think in the past we used to plant mums at this time of year. We used to put up a little, display for, Thanksgiving, Halloween. I mean, it's just different. Depends, like, what you like and what you don't like.
Sure. And Deputy Supervisor Villanova?
Well, I think that obviously from what I have experienced and what the dialogue has been, that the park itself is crisp. It's, I think, more crisp, for lack of a better term. The cleanliness, I think, and the maintenance program has been more vigorous. As far as the things that Michelle is talking about, we've asked the Parks Department to spread themselves, to readjust their teams to focus on the operation and the maintenance, and they have. And so that being said, if it's a display that may not have been put up,
I
understand what you're saying, Michelle. That it's somewhat just of a feel, but for the most part, I think that they're doing a great job at the park.
Absolutely.
And I think the park does look great. And as far as any deterioration, I see none with the actual physical landscaping of the park itself. And I know that there's a plan in place for the the facilities and their maintenance.
Yeah, that's what I think we need to work on a little more, is the interior also.
Good. Okay, Councilman Gelfarb, other things?
Nothing else.
Thank you. Councilwoman Mendocino?
I just had a thought came by, and I wish that I had thought of it while the court people were here, but I know that you can now, in a lot of municipalities, you can pay your tickets online and assess a small fee. I think in some places it's $2 or whatever. And I don't know if that's a service or that's something that goes through the municipality itself.
I think in Portchester it's subbed out to a completely different service.
It wasn't Portchester, it was like
Portchester does.
New York City does it, like
That's
Tuckahoe does
an
it.
excellent suggestion. Why don't Mr. Goodwin and Mr. Nowotny, would you follow up with the court? I see and Capisi's left. Would you find out? And that's an excellent suggestion.
Yeah, that was my only thing question.
Thank you, Councilwoman Mendocino. Councilman Neoris?
No comment.
Deputy Supervisor Villanova?
I just want to touch base on the visitation that John Goodwin and myself made to these properties that are on this list, the November 11th. We're looking at properties, some of them, and I'm just going to highlight two specific, three specific actually. One of them, there was questionable whether or not it was vacant. The other one appeared to be vacant. Utilities shut-off notices were on the door. There was a rock in front of the door. We're looking at properties that are not being used. It doesn't even look like there's squatters there.